The hell are you supposed to be? I'm vengeance.
Greetings and welcome to the podcast about nothing and everything. This is the podcast where I basically just get to talk about anything and everything on my mind. I will dive into all kinds of passions and interests I have, and I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to be able to relate to these episodes, and I feel like there's a lot of people out there who share common interests with me and have a wide array of interests. And today we're going to talk Batman. Let me give you some background on me and Batman. I'm a huge comic book guy. I have been for as long as I can remember, right? And when I was very, very young, my grandmother would take me to the drugstore in the town she lived in, and they had spinner racks. Yes, I'm that old. Had spinner racks of comics, and I was enthralled by them. And I loved everything that was what's the word I'm trying to say? I don't know. That was from like TV shows and cartoons and stuff. I can't think of the term I'm trying to think here. And also, though, I was very drawn early on to Batman, right? The covers, the imagery of him, everything else just really popped to me. And I just loved it. This would have been very early 80s. And I know maybe that, to a lot of people, maybe that's not prime time Batman, but it is for me. And but I was very drawn, right? Superhero stuff was all great, but Batman, man, was really the thing. And I've read Batman ever since. And loved it and loved the movies. Batman 89, Batman Returns, two of my favorite movies of all time. Always will be, for no other reason, for nostalgic purposes. And we talk about that because we're going to get right to it, because we're going to talk about the new Batman movie, The Batman, with Robert Pattinson, that is now in theaters. I have seen it, and we're going to have a discussion here. It's a crossing of the stream, so to speak, with the YouTube channel Geek-Stew. And I have host Ike Isaacs on here, who is another fellow huge Batman fan. And we are going to talk about the new movie. So make sure you go check him out, look him up on social media, subscribe to him on YouTube. He gives all the information at the end of our discussion. But like I said, this is a crossing of the streams and a cross-platform super show here type deal, discussing the Batman. And if you'd like to see video version of this, then like I said, go find Geek-Stew on YouTube and subscribe. Ike is going to be putting up the video version of the conversation you're about to hear on that channel. So, without further ado, let's get right to it, and let's jump into mine and Ike's discussion on the Batman. All right, and now we got a little joint project here to discuss the Batman with that Pattinson guy. And of course, I am Dave from the podcast About Nothing. Joining me is Ike from Geek-Stew. Ike, how are you?
I'm doing fantabulous. How are you doing?
I'm all right. So here's the deal. If anybody wants to just hear the audio of this, they can check it out on mine. But if you actually want to see us, I don't know why, but if you want to see us, then go to YouTube and look up Geek-Stew, and you'll be able to see the video. So we have both now officially seen the Batman.
Yep.
We have purposely not spoke with each other about it, to not spoil our opinion or whatever, our reactions. But I think we should preface this, Ike, by saying you and I are both huge superhero comic book fans,
Yep.
particularly both huge Batman fans. So we might be a little biased. And on top of that, we both have the, I don't know what you want to call it, the habit of, we like to find the positives in movies. So I would suspect we're probably not going to rip much to shreds. I do have a few little critiques, but nothing big. But do you think that's fair to say, though? I think we're both kind of soft when it comes to the critiquing.
Well, I was going to say, if anybody out there's ever watched Geek-Stew, you know that I love horror movies, and horror movies by definition are generally not that great, but like I love all horror movies, so yeah.
Well, see, my thing, I don't go into a movie expecting to be disappointed or wanting to be disappointed. I go into it saying, and I don't know that I've hardly ever seen a movie that I've gone and thought, God, that was just a waste of my time. Coyote Ugly. I hate Coyote Ugly. But I don't know what it is about that movie. But anyway. Okay, so we both seen it
Yep.
within a day or two of each other. You just saw it last night as of recording this. So who wants to start? Who wants to give our first? Just our overall. Let's not get too detailed on this
Who you want to jump in first since I've done all the talking here? Why don't you go first?
Yeah, sure. Well, first and foremost, I was gonna try and I was trying to get one of those bucket heads for Dave. For people who don't know, they have
Oh
those
yeah,
buckets.
I forgot about those.
They ran out. They literally said we ran out day one.
That's
I was
because
like,
this
"Shit."
movie. That's because this movie's drawn like crazy.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, that if that's any indication how this movie was. But when I left that movie theater, okay, so I for people who don't know, I'm married. So I get in the car with my wife, and my wife knows I love Batman, right? I wore a Batman shirt last night. Like I love Batman. I would put him probably as my number one superhero. And for a long time, my favorite movie was The Dark Knight. So when I got in the car, I was almost mad. And here's why.
Is this
Because
after the movie?
yeah, this is after the movie.
Okay.
Okay, ready? I was mad because this movie made me feel more than The Dark Knight. Period. This movie had me on the edge of my seat from literally start to finish. I literally could not get enough of it. And when the movie ended, I was mad because I was like, I want more. I want more Matt Reeves. And I know a lot of people are probably going to shit on the movie because of Robert Pattinson, but overall, this movie was a de facto Batman movie for me.
I actually agree. I do again. I have a couple little critiques. They're small. I mean, they're really small things. Overall, okay. So here we are. We have pause. Let's dive into some more detail.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some things that we really, really, really like specifically. I absolutely at the beginning of this movie fucking loved the shadow thing. Where all the villains were looking in the shadows and him as fear as a weapon because that's fucking Batman. That is what Batman is. And I love the narration because it really goes back to the comics. I love that whole, I mean, God, all that where all these guys were looking in the shadows thinking he was there. Because I sat there and I kept thinking, is he there? One time he was going to come out of those shadows. So it was like
goosebumps.
but it's like because that fear, that is Batman's biggest weapon. That's his thing. And I loved all that. That was so great at the beginning. So that's one specific that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Robert Pattinson fan. I do think he's very, very talented, but he was absolutely perfect in this movie. This movie was absolutely perfectly cast and acted. I don't 100%. Care what you think of anything else. These people were right for these roles. I didn't know what to think of Zoe Kravitz going in because not that familiar with her. I know who she is obviously, but she was great. Now here's my thing. I am 100% biased and partial to Batman 1989 and the Batman Returns. Nothing will ever top those for me, but that's just pure nostalgia. That's because when Batman 89 comes out, I was 14 years old, and I mean it was perfect for me. I was so caught up in all the promotional, but again, this had that too. I love freaking the Little Caesar stuff, the tie-in. I mean, I love seeing and the toy. I love seeing that stuff. I love seeing because regardless of anything, I mean, it's like the number one movie now and all this and that. And man, I mean, I love seeing Batman or a superhero movie in general. But But my first thing that I loved about it was the shadow, that thing in the shadows and how they did that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And another thing to kind of even add on to that we get like right when the movie opens is that first fight scene. And like, I think the way that they made that, they produced it with the sound, like you feel the rage, like, cause this is early Batman. This is angry Batman. This is the Batman that's still trying to put the pieces together of what happened to his parents and where he is and who he is. And he's angry. And you can feel that, the brutality, like that scene. And this is more towards the end of the movie when they're on top of the screen in the stadium.
I guess we should say spoilers, by the way. This thing is full.
Yes,
we'll have to put a preface ahead of this. I guess we didn't mention that, but yeah, this is gonna be full of spoilers.
Oh hell yeah! But and I mean we'll probably talk about it in a minute. But that scene where he got shot point blank with a shotgun and he injected what?
Yeah. Oh no, let's don't get into that yet.
We'll get into that later.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, but what you said was like the boots, man. When he was walking, when he finally came out of those shadows, and you hear those boots, and what I like though is you're right. It was early Batman, but he wasn't still so hung up on the parents that was it. Yeah. It was more him struggling with where's my place in this, because everybody's calling him a vigilante. Everybody doesn't know if is he good, is he bad. They don't know. Just the general people didn't know whether to be afraid of him or not. I mean, they did that through the entire movie till right towards the end. So he's struggling because the cops didn't trust him except for Gordon. So he's struggling to find his place in all this. And my God, I'm so glad that they didn't just redo the parents' death scene.
Oh my God. We've seen it like 400 times. It's like Uncle Ben at this point.
Yeah, I understand that it's important, but I like how they tied it in where they told you if you didn't know somehow, I don't know how you wouldn't know, but if you didn't know, they put it in there so you know his parents were killed, that you know they were murdered. You understand that he's coping with it without, seeing him hold his dad's hand outside of a theater or whatever again. And I'm like, come on. And but it was very cool during. I mean, if you want to talk about that, I love when he encountered the little orphan boy. Yeah. I think that was maybe a little into the movie a little bit, but and when he looked at him, how he saw himself in that little boy, who I guess was the mayor's son, wasn't it? It was the mayor's son.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So yeah, I like the sound. I like the fight. I like that they showed him a couple of times without his shirt, and you could see kind of the bruises and the cuts and the things to show that he underneath that he is a human, and that he does feel the pain. Man, Pattinson does that brooding thing so well.
Yeah.
I didn't know how. I mean, Pattinson could not. Well, maybe he could. We don't know, but Pattinson is not the older, wiser. I'm glad they didn't put the Playboy Bruce Wayne in this yet, because he shouldn't be at year 2. Because I think they say this is kind of year 2, right? Because
well, that's another thing I liked, because he was doing the journaling and he's like October 30th.
Yeah, I can't expect to be Rorschach. Ate another can of cold beans. Like it's
blood like runs in the streets.
Whores, they're all whores. but yeah, and then I think Gordon said something about trust. He said something about trust. We've been working together for 2 years, buddy, and I don't even know what you look like or who you are, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. All right, now another thing. Okay, here's something else that I loved, but yet another one of my little critiques, and the same thing. I love serial killer Riddler. I love the way they portrayed it, because Riddler is one of my favorite villains. He's so good if done right. But I understand in the context, but I wasn't super hip on his outfit. It was is a little weird to me. And I think it's just because I wanted a little more traditional. I understand the mask and they played that in, and I get it, but it was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of odd, the mask with the glasses. I don't know. It just didn't, I don't know.
I couldn't help but think of the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. That's what I kept thinking. I was like, oh, the Gimp from Pulp Fiction? That's who we're fighting?
Yeah. It was just a little, I don't know what they could have done different because I understand he had to hide his identity.
Right.
But, and I know the old tried and true Riddler, just the little eye mask, may not have been the best. I mean, Catwoman pretty much did it. Her mask was next to nothing. She didn't need the mask though. She looked like Catwoman even without the mask.
She really did.
But I like, the Riddler being so. And the good thing about this is a lot of movies, especially superhero movies, sometimes I'm very good at figuring out where they're going, and this one kind of kept me guessing a little bit, because I kept trying to figure out, well, what exactly is what's the Riddler's motives here? What's the overlying thing? And I didn't really get it till it got to a certain point. So I like that part. So yeah, while I liked the Riddler character a lot, I wasn't my favorite Riddler costume, but
yeah, I would share the same sentiment. Because obviously when you think about the Riddler, the only 2 Riddlers that we've ever gotten, I forget his name, from the '66 Batman.
Yeah, Frank Gorshin.
Frank Gorshin, and then you have the
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. What was he? Was he in Val Kilmer's movie, or is that?
That was in Batman Forever. Yeah, no.
Returns.
It's a Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Yeah.
Yeah. It was with Chris.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and that's the only experience we ever had. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Jim Carrey, but he was just a cheese ball. I mean, that's all it was. So I think that where they're going with this is that, this was supposed to be sort of like the Riddler's origin. You know what I mean? He's angry. He's, to kind of even compare it to like popular culture, he's like an incel. He's this guy who's locked away in a room somewhere, just kind of like, on the internet.
I hope if we see him in the future again, which I don't know how much we'll see of him again. I don't know whether they will, but maybe that the costume will be a little different since his face has been exposed at that point. But then I loved the Penguin, and I call.
Oh my God!
I kept looking at it thinking, are you sure that's Colin Farrell? Because it didn't look like him. I mean, I understand there was the makeup and all that, but I still couldn't even see it. But man, I loved it. I loved how they set him up. I know that they're doing an HBO Max series that's going to kind of show his backstory a little, I think. I loved, the Iceberg Lounge. That's straight out of the comics. And everything else. So, I mean, Falcone he's out of the comics. It's a little newer in the comics, but the Iceberg Lounge has been around forever. But I love the Penguin. He was great in this. It wasn't they didn't play him too goofy, but they kept that crime, more of that mob boss kind of thing of him, which is very, very good.
He wasn't, eating frozen fish, Danny DeVito.
Don't talk bad about Batman Returns.
I love Danny DeVito. Okay, I love Batman Returns, but I definitely think that Colin Farrell was a better Penguin, in my opinion. Like you said, I didn't even know. I knew it was Colin Farrell, but like if I didn't know prior, like I would have never said, "Oh fuck, that's Colin Farrell." Like, oh man, but he was perfect. Perfect.
Could not tell. And like I said, Zoe Kravitz, I thought she was great as Catwoman. And man, everything about her. I was sitting there when I watched it, and they did the thing with Falcone being her father in the movie in there, and I wasn't sure, and I thought I have to check if that was out of the comics at all, and it is. It is in some newer comics. He is the father. I wasn't sure because I sat there and thought, man, if they threw that in, it's going to piss me off. If they just made that up, that's too big a step for me. But thankfully, we're okay. Did you see the little what do you want to call it? Tease of Hush in it?
Yep. Oh yeah. I saw. Well, I read an article afterwards because I have a bunch saved because I didn't want spoilers. But
there was, I can't remember what it was. Was it in one of the Riddler's things?
I thought so.
Where was showing?
He was. Yeah,
Go ahead.
like newspaper clippings or something like that, or something.
Yeah, and one of them just said "hush," but.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what his costume reminded me of a little bit. He kind of.
Yeah.
It looked like a lot. Like, I don't know. So maybe that's. And I think. Who was it? Where they talked about the reporter that got Bruce's parents in trouble, was going to try to get them in trouble.
Yeah.
That Falcone supposedly took care of. His last name was the same as the dad in Hush, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I cannot remember his name.
I can't remember it either. But okay, now what? I was trying to hit all the big characters that were in the movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Jim Gordon.
Man.
I love Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon. He was probably like the de facto Jim Gordon. And then we had J.K. Simmons in the Snyderverse, and he was good too. But oh man, this guy, he brought a whole new. He brought a different Jim Gordon. I don't know. It was just they're all different, but all great at the same time.
Every time he talked, I kept saying, "Wait, was that him or Batman?" It was like they both had that same. Hey, Batman, I got to turn the signal on, and okay, Gordon. It was like they were both talking in fake voices to each other. It was weird, but Gordon was good. I was a little disappointed with. I mean, I liked Alfred in it, but man, I wish they would have put a little more of him in there.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, it just seemed like he was I don't know, underutilized. But I like that they kind of used that. How he was involved, though. He was helping decode it. He had the special forces background, I think he said, or something when he was doing the decoding. And I like that. I like that kind of Alfred, where he's not just the guy bringing the tea. I like
he
that.
Was smart enough to toss the C4 too. That saved his life. He didn't hold on to it.
And I like that they had, being how it was early Bruce Wayne or early Batman, not early Bruce Wayne, but that I like they had that struggle with between him and Alfred, a little bit of oh, you're not my father, quit trying. And then, it takes the near death to realize, well, it's the closest thing I've got. And for him to realize how important he was, because, that's very human. That would have happened because there would have been that whole stretch of Bruce, why he may have cared for Alfred being like, man, but you're not my dad, and I want my dad. And so I was a little, I know they've done it in the books, but talking about his mom being in Arkham, that was kind of wild.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect to throw that.
Well, and they introduced like the founding families, the Waynes and the Arkhams, and I kind of forgot about the whole like family Arkham. But
what that makes me feel might be happening.
Court of Owls.
Court of Owls.
Yep.
And my God,
and I was like,
if they do Court of Owls, and especially if they do, I mean, you can't have Court of Owls without doing Talon. I'm like,
exactly.
dude, I will see that movie nonstop for 2 weeks straight. That is one
Court
of the best.
Owls, yeah, I was good.
That's one of the best, especially. So that's one of my favorite Batman things, period. But especially modern. I mean, you get so much stuff anymore. It's just rehash. And that was a totally new concept. Man, I loved it.
So good. If they make a movie, 100% on board.
And I think Pattinson said in an interview that he suspects that it's coming, that they will use now. And I know now to talk about something because this is kind of the year of Batman because we've got this, then we got the Flash coming out, which has Keaton in it, and what's his name? Affleck was supposed to be in that too.
Oh yeah.
And then we got that Batgirl movie, which is coming out on HBO Max. And some of the set shots out of the Batgirl has shown like a newsstand, and on one of the newspapers or magazines or something, it says something about the Court of Owls. So.
Oh, okay.
Now I don't know if this is all the same universe because they're going to do the multiverse thing. So I don't know what's what time frame or whatever. But at least it's out there. I mean, Matt Reeves. I mean, I think he's going to have the keys to the kingdom here because.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure unless something drastically happens with the second movie that he'll get a trilogy out of this, and he's doing the Penguin series, and they're supposed to do that Arkham Asylum series on HBO Max, which is supposed to be like horror themed, kind of a horror thing, which would be cool. Which makes me, I mean, maybe we'll see the Riddler in that some.
That's what I was gonna say.
In there. And I wonder if that's what they'll use to fully flesh out and spawn the Joker, since he was right there at the tail end of this movie.
Well, he's the unnamed Arkham prisoner.
Like
we don't fucking know.
I wish they would have totally swerved it. I really would do after all this, just to shut the internet down. But of course, the internet probably would have burnt the theaters down to the ground if he hadn't. But I know everybody said that. I mean, they should have just came out. I mean, if they're gonna, I understand they tried to hide it because I think it was a casting sheet or something that put that out there. It was something they didn't go out there and advertise he's in the movie, but
right.
once that slipped out, everybody knew. I mean, what was going to be.
But
yeah, go ahead. No, go.
Say with the Joker, when I heard his voice, like, shit, that sounds like Cameron Monaghan, the guy who does the Joker in the it's not Gotham or Gotham PD or something like that. He's like a younger kid. He's from Shameless.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like set in the past, so I don't think it's the same guy, and it's not. But the guy's disfigured, which I like. I like that they're not taking like the subtle, scars, Heath Ledger's scars. They're not doing that. They're not doing like just the freaky like emo Jared Leto. And like as much as I like Joaquin Phoenix, they're not doing like that sort of artsy version of the Joker. They're doing more of like an Arkham Asylum, like the Arkham games. I don't know, you've played them before. Mm-hmm. But the Joker in the Arkham games, he's very gruesome looking. He's got visible scarring without the makeup, and I like that they're going that route.
Yeah, which ties to either Phoenix's Joker is either not, it is just a side thing altogether, or it's like they kind of indicated that he was just a guy that was a catalyst for what would actually become the Joker we know.
Right.
With all the, which, I mean, to me, I think that's where it is. Because in this movie, we saw these like gangs.
Yep.
And the ones, with the makeup. So, I mean, clearly it looks to me like there's the Jokers are out there or whatever. I mean, like, because I couldn't figure out what the avocado head guys were. Who were those supposed to be Riddler guys, or because they showed them before the Riddler really started his stuff? Or was that?
I'm not even sure. I think.
Or was that just a one-off guy?
Halloween masks. Yeah, the Halloween mask guy who got hit by a car.
I kept seeing him, and I thought, well, who is he? Is he like a gang, or what is it? Who's he supposed to be? But and I know they keep asking Matt Reeves if he's going to have a Robin in any of these movies, and man, I don't know. This movie, I don't know. I mean, it's awfully dark for a Robin.
Well, I have a feeling we'll never get a Robin again, and I think we can thank whoever the hell made, whoever put nipples on Batman. We can thank them for the fact that we'll never get a Robin. Like, what was his name? Christopher O'Donnell or something like that.
Well, yeah, he was the Robin. Who? Why can I not think Schumacher? Yeah.
Yeah, Joel Schumacher. Yep.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like we'll never see an actual Robin, or because the only Robins that we got were Chris O'Donnell.
Well, but have you not seen the set picture from Batgirl?
No, I've not.
There is, again, these are all, I know this is all spoiler shit, but there is a set picture that came out in Batgirl of a mural that is going to be in this movie that is clearly Keaton's Batman with a Robin. And this mural, there was a Robin next to him, looks like a very old school type Robin. So I wonder.
Flashpoint, maybe.
Yeah, if they were just going to play it off that, there was a Robin out there and just skip all that and let's have a Nightwing or something. And
yeah.
Because, I mean, to me, the way the tones of these movies, a Nightwing would fit better than or, a Nightwing or a Red Hood or something like that would fit better than, I mean, I guess you can have a dark Robin, but what are you going to do? There's no circuses anymore. So what are they going to do for his backstory?
Well, what I was going to say is, I mean, you could almost, because I honestly, when they talked about the reporter in this movie, I was expected them to be like, something Drake, because Tim Drake was like, he worked for the newspaper, he was like a young detective, and I was kind of hoping that maybe they'd do something like that. And I was listening for like Grayson, Todd, Brown, literally anything. I was just hanging on to the edge of my seat, just listening for any sentence that would utter, because I love Robin. For people who don't know, I am a huge Robin fan. Like, they're the best. But I
kept watching the gangs and stuff too. I thought maybe they'll spin it where the flying Graysons or the Graysons or whatever were, I don't know, spin it into a gang type thing, or I don't know, something. Yeah. But so let's get back to a point that you brought up earlier about on Gotham Square Garden, which was great. Which it's literally just Madison Square Garden that they just put that was pretty cool. When Batman was shot. And what he go ahead. You were starting to tell the story earlier, so go ahead and let's get back to that.
Right. Well, so to preface, so in the movie, for people who have not seen and are for some reason still watching this,
you haven't seen it, I'm not sure what you're doing here. I mean,
right. But if you haven't, so basically, the Riddler goes to jail. He blows up the sea line in the Gotham floods, and he did this because he knew everyone would go to the Gotham. What is it you just said? Gotham Square Garden. Yeah.
Instead of Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. So he knew that they would all flood there, and he had some fringe followers from the internet basically get guns together and basically kill a bunch of people in the new mayor. So basically real life.
That's what I say. It feels pretty relevant.
I was going to say. So Batman, obviously being the bad motherfucker he is, shows up, foils the plans, nobody gets killed, but this is still early Batman. This isn't the Batman that's literally invincible. Like, we show him getting hurt, and there's a point where he gets shot point blank with a shotgun, and he's just hanging on for dear life. And Catwoman saves him, and then he's just laying there like, oh shit, this hurts. And then someone tries to kill Catwoman, and he reaches into his pouch, pulls out a tube of green something, sticks himself in the leg, and then just proceeds to beat the absolute dog shit out of this guy. Like, rage filled. And that was probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, quite frankly.
Which
and for people who don't know, what's the green stuff?
What do they call it? Venom? Is it Venom?
Venom.
Which is
Bane's Venom.
I mean, what else can it be? I mean, if it's not that, why put that in there? That doesn't even make sense.
Well, I was thinking maybe they're gonna play it like it's like a Wayne Industries like formula that he uses for himself to like give him that boost when he needs it, sort of like steroids, I guess.
Man, tell me they're not gonna do a junkie Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, the Venom Bruce Wayne, because that's kind of what they did with Bane, because like Bane basically got strung out on it.
I wonder if see, I like Bane. I just hope they don't go right back to him since he was in the last films. I don't know who to do something a little different. There are so many characters out there, so many. Try something that hadn't been tried before. I understand, yes, okay, that we've got, you got Penguin and you got Riddler and you got Catwoman and you hinted at Joker. I mean, that's your big four, right? If you don't at least have them in there to some degree, people might be mad. But now that you've laid it out, at least throw something different in there. I mean, so help me God if they put Bane and Poison Ivy from like the original movies. I'm like, come on.
Batman Forever. No, and that's what I was gonna say. No Mr. Freeze. Like, I don't get me wrong, they're great characters, but those are characters that are like late stage Batman characters, in my opinion. These are characters who have, fleshed out their abilities to a later stage, because you can't really give me like the Riddler, for instance, was a perfect choice for this first film. And I feel like they could go a couple of different ways. I could see Solomon Grundy could be a good one. I could see Firefly as a good one.
Oh. Firefly's gonna be in the Batgirl film. I keep going back to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Played
that's a good idea.
Played by Brendan Fraser.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah.
Now. I love Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
I could see Victor Zsasz. I know he was in the Harley Quinn, the Emancipation of Harley Quinn movie, the Birds of Prey movie. I guess you can't do. I'm trying to think of some other Batman villains.
all they need is Court of Owls. Just do Court of Owls.
Yeah, Court of Owls.
I mean, you can have some other characters in there. I mean, and whatever else. But man, the Court of Owls would that whole thing. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know about that. That might be a little much for this, but I don't know. I think Court of Owls would fit perfect in this movie world. Yeah. I think because talking about how corrupt it was and how they were talking about how Falcone owned the police and owned this and that, and I mean that plays all, and they talked about the founding families and all that plays right into it. I mean, to me, I think it's where they're going. And it makes them hope. It makes them hopeful.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, like you said, it's like a shadow organization that kind of like runs things from behind the scenes. And
I don't know what he'll do. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what he'll do about Talon, because isn't Talon supposedly indestructible or whatever, invincible?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I'd say I'm pretty sure all of them are, like, all of the Court of Owls, like they're immortal. Like you can like dismember them and stuff, and that'll definitely slow them down. But they usually just get stitched right back together, and then they're ready to go. Yeah,
they might leave that element off a little. Maybe that won't be.
Yeah, right.
It'll just be the families and their descendants or something. Right. Maybe they'll try to come and looking for Bruce to join them up. Well, surely they won't hint again at his parents being corrupt again. They already hinted at that once and found out that he wasn't really corrupt.
Because wasn't one of the Court of the Owls like Bruce Wayne's brother that like, or something like that?
Oh yeah, there was a Wayne in there. I guess. I don't know. I guess they could do something.
I'm about to pull down my comic books here later. I'll have to read through the Court of the Owls again, because I'm trying to remember. Such
good stuff. I hope they do with the Court of Owls. At least, I mean, I don't think if they do it, that'll be it. They'll have to have some other villain or two in there, because they don't.
Right.
They don't make a movie with just one villain anymore. I mean, you got to have different. I don't know, different layers. I don't know.
Look, Spider-Man No Way Home set a dangerous precedent for every single superhero movie. You got to have at least 3.
I can't wait for Flash to come out or whatever, where they're going to have like everything in it. That's going to, they're bringing back, Affleck to close out his thing, and they're going to have Keaton and who knows what else. I mean, oh my gosh, that's going to get nuts.
Well, I mean, and also you have Black Adam, which is going to have like Dr. Fate, Hawkman, there's a bunch of other people too. I can't remember who they are now. Yeah.
See, I don't know. See, that, I guess timeline wise though, this would be, I don't know. I wonder where they're going to put these Reeves movies in the timeline of their films. If it's going to be like another universe, another world, or if it'll be just previous in the timeline before somebody. I don't know. I mean, I wonder.
I think that the best they could do timeline wise is make him his own timeline, because you think about the other Batmans. Christian Bale's Batman, that took place in the 2008 2012 range. Like they say the dates in the movies. Same thing with
and they showed his development. So where he went off and trained and did all. I mean, so they showed how he got his start. So that doesn't make sense.
So you would have, I think you would just have to say that this is the new Batman, basically. Like this is who Batman is now. Because I mean, you have all these other people, and I have a feeling that they're going to explain away the different Batmans in Flash, because there's going to be like, Flashpoint, whatever. But
well, maybe that's
one of those things.
Maybe those movies will just purely close up everything. I don't know because I mean Keaton is supposed to be kind of like the Nick Fury of all this. He's supposed to be like the overseer. Right. It's the rumor at least. So maybe this will just kind of close out some of these other chapters and worlds and so on. And I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. What I was thinking is that maybe with Flashpoint we're gonna kind of have like what I expect Multiverse of Madness is gonna be is what I think Flashpoint's gonna be. It's going to basically close off those timelines. I think that we're basically going to see a bunch of timelines merge because with the New 52 and like DC Comics, there has been some sort of an event that caused timelines to clash. What was it? Fucking I'm trying to remember. Not the Infinite Crisis of Multiple Earths or something like that.
Yeah,
not the Infinity Crisis, but
yeah.
the Infinite Crisis of Multiple Earths, it clashed together, and that's how we got like the other Flash and the other Green Lantern, you know what I mean? Like the Golden Age Flash and Green Lantern to be in the modern continuity.
And both DC and Marvel at some point are going to have to do kind of a hard reset at some point, because otherwise you're going to run out. There's only so far you can go and so much you can do. And it's going to just start feeling like you're retreading. So they've got to do something. And I don't know. I mean, I love this movie, and I wish we could get Batman where he's not so dark all the time. And, just, and I'm not saying humor has to be like slapstick, but, and again, like I said, this is early Batman, so it doesn't make sense here, but maybe, maybe someday.
It'll probably take a few movies before he can really get into like the more casual Batman, if you will. Where
he's not constantly brooding about his parents, where he's like,
right.
I mean, I'm so glad they didn't reshow the parent, because I understand how important that is, but I don't like it. It's enough with it being the only driving theme. It's like, I understand that he's out for vengeance and he's out for this and that, but man, I like where he crosses that line of, okay, now I'm just doing it for the good of the city and not so much for me, and I don't know. And I hope in the other movies they don't dive back into it where he goes looking for his parents' killers or anything else, or just let it be what they done. I think they handled it well. Just let it be.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we kind of already got an answer as to who killed his parents, which is they said essentially it was probably Falcone, right? So they're like, I mean, they pretty much covered that up, and like Falcone, I mean, he dies in this movie. Bring him into the light, and he got capped in this movie. Pretty justifiably, I would say.
I love how Riddler thought they were working together, where he just
he was like, legitimately insane.
And I love that in the trailers they teased that Riddler knew who Batman was, and they made us think that he knew, and that all the articles were saying Riddler knows who Batman knows his identity. How are they going to do that? And they got to that scene, and where he's visiting him in the asylum, and and he's sitting there, and Bruce Wayne's like, oh, how I'm going to do this, whatever else. And he's like, oh, he's the only one we didn't get or something like that. And he's like, you see him? And he's like, huh? He doesn't know who I
am. That was perfectly acted. That was one of those scenes where I'm like, this is the proof that Robert Pattinson's a good actor. Because you saw that like pant shitting moment of,
and all you could see was his mouth and eyes. I mean, it's like,
yep.
Because it did.
And when he said that, he's like, okay.
Because he's like sitting there like, God, how I'm going to get out of this, or I'm done already, or that's it, I can't. And then when he said that, he like looked up like, whoo, I'm good, I'm safe. They don't know who I am.
I saw that and I'm like, okay, this is either going to end one of two ways. Either they're going to pull a huge psych, and then he's going to be like, okay, yeah, I don't know who you are, or Batman's going to have to kill the Riddler because that's only way
what I was wondering.
Protect his identity. Yeah.
I thought, what's he as, but no, I like how they did it. Either that, or I thought they would do the whole what they've done before, where he says he knows or whatever else, but they're like, oh, he's crazy, he doesn't know, we can't listen to him. He's
right.
Look at what he did.
He's a nut job.
He's not telling the truth. He's like, Alfred, I'm gonna need you to put the bat suit on and stand next to me and the parent so we can throw him for a loop. So
I didn't know Batman had a beard.
Why has he got an accent now?
Why is he walking with a cane?
Yeah. Why is Batman carrying that silver tray around trying to give us drinks? All right.
Man.
Well, let's wrap this up because we've got almost 40 minutes, and that's pushing it for a YouTube video. But
I know, right?
That's on your side. That's your problem, not mine. Mine's the audio, so I don't care. But so where do you rank it? I think you may have said it earlier. As far as your Batman movies on your list, where do you put it?
Number one. It's number one now. I hate to say it, but it is. It's my number one.
Well, I think it's my number 3, and that's because that's as high as a Batman movie can get for me. I mean,
yeah.
I'm telling you that 1-2 punch of Batman and Batman Returns, nothing will ever top that for me because it just won't.
Yep.
Not even because of quality, just because of nostalgia. It is what it is. But it was a great movie. I guess my only other qualm is I never got bored. I really think it could have been a little shorter. I think a little bit of it. I mean, the car chase scene was very cool, but I think they could have trimmed it a little. I think it was a little long. I think they could have cut 10 to 15 minutes out of it and not lost any of the story.
Yeah, but I would agree.
But I really didn't. I didn't really get bored per se or anything. But I did actually, and I didn't really read the article, but I did see something today where, if it's true, I don't know. It was just a headline. Said that they did submit a shorter cut of the movie and it was rejected. They wanted a longer cut, so it might have been the studio saying they. But I do long for the days where movies don't have to be 2.5 hours all the time, and let's get back to an hour and a half to an hour and 45 for a movie. Let's get in, tell the story, and get out.
Right.
I mean, I'm so huge in like old monster movies and horror movies, and it's so nice to sit down and watch a movie like one of those or whatever else, and you pull it up and it shows that it's like 72 minutes, and I'm like, it just feels right.
I was gonna say the most recent movies I was watching is I went through and watched all the Texas Chainsaw movies, and like I was watching.
Yeah, how long's the first one of that?
Too. Well, the first one's like I think like an hour and 10 minutes or something.
That's
like
what I'm
that,
saying.
hour and 20 minutes.
Horror movies back then they're like, man, we can't do this too long, or they're not.
Bro, they're operating on less than a shoestring budget. They can't afford to feed themselves. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do with an hour and 45-minute movie?
Yeah, that's so funny because like when I watch those old movies or whatever, it's so wild to watch them, and you sit there and think, man, they're doing stuff that they had to invent because it's this shit didn't exist. I mean, when they filmed the original Invisible Man, I'm like, man, they made that shit up. I'm like, and you look at it, and it's like almost, some of these movies are almost 100. Well, some of them are 100 years old, but they're like, we're talking 80 to 100 years old on some of these movies, and they're like, man, those effects, they kind of hold up. They really look good. And here they were, doing, I don't know what they were doing, double exposures and 2-camera weird. I don't know well, they said on the Invisible Man, he wore, what is it he wore? He wore like some kind of colored velvet stuff. Basically like a green screen type technique.
Green screen, yeah.
I mean,
early green screen.
So wild.
Really early green screen.
But they're like, yeah, we want to do the H.G. Wells Invisible Man. Man, we can't make people invisible. Figure it out. It's like,
figure that shit out right now.
Like, okay, well, all right. So let's there it is. So 2 big thumbs up from all of us here, both of us. Go see it. I'd like to go see it again. I don't know when I can squeeze it into my schedule, but there is in the back of my head to think.
I have to find a 3-hour time slot to go watch that motherfucker again.
There is that in the back of my head, knowing it's only like from the day of release to streaming like 45 days or something. So it'll be out
on HBO Max, I think.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, I'd like to go see it again, but if I just hold out a little bit longer, I can just watch it as many times as I want here at home. And I can break that down in like 3 1-hour acts.
That's what my wife said. We were watching it. She was like, it's so long. She's like, I had to pee so bad. And she's like, and that's all I was focusing on was not peeing.
I know. I do think they could have I mean, obviously it's not hurt them and whatever, but I do think they could have trimmed it down. And I don't think it would have lost any story. But
no.
I mean, I'm so diehard about, Batman and this and that and superheroes that it's like, it's 3 hours. I don't care. It's like, put more in there. I mean, go ahead. It's like.
I mean, we all watched the 5-hour Justice League.
We're putting out the grand cut of Justice League. Hell yeah.
Where's the 7-hour cut of Batman, damn it?
there goes my Saturday. I'm in.
Jesus Christ.
But and I'm sure there's like people already clamoring. It's like, okay, put out the physical media. Where's all the cut scenes?
Where's the Reeves cut?
Oh my God, I'm gonna make that a hashtag. Release the Reeves cut.
Hashtag Reeves cut. We want it.
He'll be like, that was my cut.
I swear to God, that's all I have.
There was one of the old Batman. Was it Forever? One of the two Schumacher. I think it was Forever. The first Schumacher one. There's supposedly a better cut of it where it's not so campy, and because I've seen people wanting the Schumacher cut. I'm like, I was always under the impression he was the one that wanted this stuff, but apparently there's I don't know, a different edit of it. I don't know if it's that one or it's got to be that one. I can't imagine he made that one and then said, okay, now let's get serious. But
now let's get serious.
You've heard the story of what caused those movies though to be the way they were, right? If Batman Returns, because Batman Returns is so damn dark, and it's really kind of freaky for kids, right? What killed them is not the movie itself, but the fact that because Batman was so big, and then Batman Returns was coming out, and it was going to be so big, and they put Batman Returns toys in Happy Meals, and all these kids that are everywhere else, and then they went and saw the movies and like parents were freaking out and calling for all this crap.
What the fuck is this?
And it caused the movie to not do as well as it should on multiple levels. And that's why the studio kind of did a little bit of an about face. And that's what they've always said is because of that. And then when they, told Tim Burton he was going to have to change things, Tim Burton's like, yeah, go F yourself. I'm not doing that. So he's gone. And then Keaton recently said on a podcast that he met with Schumacher and said and met with him about the third one, was going to do the third one. And then he said he talked to Schumacher, and Schumacher's like, I feel like we need to not have the death and worrying about the parents dying and this and that. And he's like, dude, have you ever read Batman? That's kind of what he is. The dark, that's there. There's that element. You can't just completely do away with that. And he's like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this and that. And he's like, yeah, I can't do that. He's like, I can't. I mean, I feel like we made two pretty good movies here. And yeah, I just can't do that one. So Keaton was on, he was going to do the third one. And then he walked away. He's like Schumacher was a nice guy and all, but I'm like, I just couldn't do that.
I mean, people often say Schumacher was the reason why we didn't get another Batman for 10, 15 years?
Yeah, now we're getting them all the time. I mean, how many It's like they're recasting Batman all the time. It's like
every other year.
It's like the National Lampoon's Vacation with the one daughter. With like every movie, it's a different actress playing the daughter. Yeah, Audrey, you look so different, or you've grown so much. Like she's always a different actress. So at some point, they're just gonna be like, yeah, we're just gonna try it and see if anybody even notices. Put him under the cowl. People come out. Why is there no Bruce Wayne in that movie?
It's Batman, isn't it?
All right. Well, there you have it. There's our talk of the Batman, the Pattinson edition. So. Real quick, go follow me for anybody that doesn't already. Follow me on the best place to follow me is on Twitter. Just go and follow me at Mr. Geek Dave, and you can follow the podcast about nothing is at a nothing pod. So Ike, where can they follow Geek-Stew on wherever?
All right, you can find us on Facebook. It is at Try the Stew, or you can just search Geek-Stew, and we're on there. There's a few other ones, but you can also do Twitter, which is at geek_stew. And then you can kind of find my socials from there, as well as on YouTube. We are Geek-Stew as well. All
right. There you have it. So that's it about the Batman talk. Ike, we'll have to do it again with something. I don't know what. There's so many things that we like, that we have common interests of that we'll find something else to chat about. And not to mention the fact that there's a whole slew of superhero movies coming out this year. So
Multiverse of Madness in May.
Oh, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a lot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have flow charts to keep up with that stuff.
Holy shit, I'm not even ready for it.
I'm going to take somebody that's never seen a Marvel movie. I want to go watch it with them so they can sit there and be like, huh? What is that?
The fuck am I watching?
Who's that Sherlock guy? What's he doing?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Because I'm sure that if they've not seen a Marvel movie, they've seen Sherlock. I'm sure that makes sense. All right.
I'm trying to think of any other movies, but oh my god.
All right, there you have it. Thank you to Ike Isaacs and Geek-Stew for having that discussion with me on the Batman and Batman in general. It was really, really, really fun. That's the kind of thing that I want to try to do quite regularly on the podcast here, is have several guests just come on and just chat, right? Just have, two geeks chatting it up about whatever the topic is that is on my mind. You'll see Ike on the show a lot. Me and him are very close and have a lot of common interests. So it won't be the last time you'll see Ike on the show. Once again, go check out Geek-Stew. Follow them on social media. Subscribe to them on YouTube. Where there you can see my pretty face and the video portion of this discussion we had today. But hey, thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe to us, share, help. You know, we're trying to build this thing, right? We're trying to get a network going on for the podcast about nothing and everything. So thanks for helping. I know we're only a couple episodes in, and I know, you know, we're still finding our footing in our direction, but it's going to be good, man. We're going to love it. And if there's any topics that you'd like to hear me talk about, throw them out there on social media and let me see if I have an interest there. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll even bring you on to chat with me, if I feel the need. So anyway, until next episode, this is the podcast about nothing and everything. I am your host, Dave, and wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.